From here, bring the soles of the feet to the mat and scoot yourself as close to your heels as you can. And then wrap your arms around your knees or shins and sit up nice and tall. Crown of the head reaching toward the ceiling. And then really round through the spine, bringing the forehead down toward the knees. Come back up to a nice tall spine. And send your legs out nice and wide. So whatever a comfortable wide-legged position is for you, it's still early. And then move that flesh out of the way in the back, or just scoot forward so that you can sit on your sits bones. Once again, sitting up nice and tall, flex through those toes. And inhale the arms up and overhead. Exhale, twist over to the left. Plant the fingertips on the ground and find that twist through the belly. Keep the shoulders relaxed and away from the ears. Stay strong through the legs. Inhale the arms up, back through center, and then twist over toward the right. Planting the fingertips, sitting up nice and tall, and find that gentle twist through the belly. And once again, inhale the arms up and overhead, and with your own breath, move from side to side. Twist over toward the left as you exhale. Inhale, arms back up through center, and then exhale over toward the right. Inhale back to center, and then twist. Moving at your own pace. Sit up nice and tall and stay really flexed through those feet. If someone were to look at us, they would think this is a really easy pose, but there's so much engaged right now. And take one more twist to each side. Coming back through center, and then gently bend through the knees to plant the feet. You can release the arms down. So the feet are just slightly outward, heels slightly in, and take hold of your ankles. Once again, sitting up nice and tall. And then exhale to round through the spine. Inhale to rise up, nice tall spine. And exhale to round in. One more time, inhale to rise. Exhale to round. And then if you can, draw your fingertips underneath your ankles. And gently press into those thighs with your elbows. And then if it is available to you, you can begin to crawl your fingertips further underneath your legs, keeping a long spine. So try not to round through the spine. And once you find a spot, it feels like you can't really go much further, but that you can also hold for a few rounds of breath. Stay there. And as you settle into this pose, maybe you can walk yourself a little bit lower to the ground. One more breath here. And then drop the crown of the head toward the ground. Really round through the spine and begin to draw those fingertips back in, slowly, slowly rising back up to a tall spine. And then you can help your legs back together, feet on the mat, and then send those legs out long in front of you. Readjust any flesh that you need to, flex through those feet, and then draw the left leg in toward the chest. And then cross it over the right, so the left foot is over the right thigh. And then inhale the arms up and overhead and twist over toward the left, either hooking the forearm or the elbow if you're really twisty, and using the left arm as a kickstand behind you. Once again, stay really flexed through that straight leg foot. Gaze can be over toward the side of the room, or you can send it over the back shoulder. See if there's any place where you can surrender a little bit more to get just a little bit deeper in the twist. Slowly begin to unwind. Keep that foot crossed over the thigh, and then bend through the right leg to bring it back around so that both legs are bent. And then continue crossing the top leg. So your knee on top of knee here. Sit up nice and tall. Flex through both feet. Now you might be like this, that's okay. If you have a blanket or a block, you can put that in between to take up the space, but not necessary. And then you can stay here, or you can begin to walk yourself forward, making sure that if you're walking yourself forward, you are staying connected to the mat through the sits bones. So you can use the hands even to press yourself into the mat. Maybe you continue to fold. And take a moment to notice the left glute. If you're feeling any sensation there. If you're not feeling any sensation there, then see if you can fold over a little bit more. I'm definitely feeling sensation in my left glute. Let's take 3 more breaths here and see if you can use those breaths to help you release any tension that you're feeling through the body. And then drop the crown of the head toward the mat as you walk yourself back up, round through the spine, head rises last. Sit up nice and tall. Uncross the legs, sending both feet back out in front of you. And then bend through the right leg and cross it over the left thigh. So staying nice and flexed through the left toes, sit up nice and tall, sweep the arms up and overhead and twist over toward your bent knee. Hook the forearm or elbow and really twist through the core. Send the gaze wherever it feels comfortable. And slowly begin to unwind. Come back to center and bend that left leg, sending the heel toward the outer glute. And continue crossing that top leg so that your knee on top of knee, or some variation of knee on top of knee. Flex through those feet. And then you can stay here, or you can begin to walk yourself forward. Making sure to stay rooted into the mat. And just noticing where you're feeling sensation. Once you feel that sensation, use the breath to soften it. And if you're folded forward, drop the head toward the mat and slowly begin to drag the fingertips in as you round the spine. Head rises last. Unwind the legs, send them back out long in front of you. And just give them a little shake here, loosening them back up. Okay, sweep your feet to one side and we'll come into a tabletop pose. Take a couple rounds of cat-cow. Inhale to drop the belly, lift the gaze, and exhale to round the spine, drop the crown of the head. Take a few rounds of cat-cow, or you can take any other movement that is calling to your body this morning. Making sure that if you do something one way, you just even out the body by doing it the other way too. And then come back to a neutral spine and send the right leg long behind you, flex through those toes. Staying nice and straight, pressing down into the fingertips and getting strong through the core, the leg, the glutes. Okay, then cross that right leg over the left, just tap the toes and bring it back to center. Cross it over the left, tap the toes and bring it back to center. Flex through the toes, bring it over the left leg, tap and bring it back to center. Take 2 more taps. And then bring it back out behind you. Lower the tucked toes down to the mat and give yourself a little rock back and forth. So continuing to open up the back leg, the glutes. If you stay really strong through the leg, flex through the foot on that last move, you should feel it in the outer glute. Okay, we're gonna stay on the right side. So lift that leg back up, bring it back out of the hip and bend through the leg. Flexed through the toes, and we're gonna take some pulses here. This movement is gonna come from the right glute. So just flex the glute and release. Flex that glute and release. 3, 2, and 1. Hold it up there. So stay flexed through the glute. And then release it, coming back into tabletop and just rocking the hips a little from side to side. Okay, we're gonna give that glute a little bit of a break, but we're gonna come back to it. Send the left leg long behind you and flex through the toes. Get nice and strong. Press into the fingertips, strong through the core. And this time, stay flexed through the foot again as you cross it over the right. Tap the toes and bring it back to center. Cross it over the right, tap the toes, bring it back to center. The rest of the body is staying pretty still. Cross it over and tap, bring it back to center. Take 2 more. And then send that leg out long behind you. Tuck the toes on the mat and give it a little rock back and forth. And then send the left leg long behind you. Bend through the knee, keep flexed through the foot. And we'll take 5 pulses. Flex through the glute and release. Flex and release. Flex and release. flex and release, and flex and hold. Press down through the finger pads and release it back into tabletop. Rock those hips from side to side. Tuck the toes behind you and just begin to hover the knees up off the mat. We'll stay here for 5 rounds of breath. And then lower the knees back down, untuck the toes, take a round of cat-cow. Inhale to drop the belly, exhale to round the spine. Then tuck the toes, press the hips nice and high, downward facing dog. Either pedal it out here or find some stillness. And then take tiny steps toward the top of the mat. Inhale to halfway lift. Exhale to fold forward, sweep the arms out to the side, root to rise, and exhale, hands to heart center. You can release the hands down by the side, and then bring the feet hips width distance apart. Bend the knees, sweep the fingertips on the ground, chair pose. Holding here, nice. Press down into the right foot. As you rise up, straighten through the right leg, left leg bends, flexing through the toes. Balance here. Beautiful, then sit back into chair pose. Moving to the other side, so root through the left foot, right foot rises. Move as slow as you need to keep your balance here. And then sit back into chair pose. Root down through the right foot, left foot rises. And you can keep a little bend in that standing leg for a little bit more stability. Back to chair. And one more time, root down into the left, right foot rises. And then sink back into chair. 3 breaths here. You can always lower your arms if they get tired. And then find yourself in a forward fold. And step back into a plank pose. Lowering yourself all the way down to the mat, however you want to get there. And sweep that left arm across using the forearm as a pillow. And bend through the right knee, pulling the right heel into the glute. Press down into the right hip. So press the right hip into the mat. And then release the right foot. Switch the arms at the top of the mat so the right arm comes across, using the forearm as a pillow. And then bend through the left knee, pulling the left heel in toward the glute. And press the left hip in toward the mat. Release the foot. Bring both hands back to push-up position. Tuck the toes and press back into downward facing dog. Pedaling it out here. Come to stillness. And then just drop the knees down to the mat, returning to a tabletop position. So we're going to return to the glutes here. So find your tabletop first. And then bring that right leg out to the side into your fire hydrant pose. See if you can stay centered over the body. Just holding here. Flex through that right foot. And then lower it down. Once again, bringing that right foot back in the hydrant, and we'll just take some movement here. So bring it up, straighten it out. Bend it to hydrant, back to tabletop. Staying on the right side. Hydrant, flex through the foot, straighten the leg, hydrant, tabletop. Hydrant, straighten through the leg, hydrant, tabletop. 2 more, hydrant, straighten the leg, hydrant, tabletop. Last one at your own pace. Come back to your tabletop, recenter, and just give yourself a little movement of the hips. Just releasing. And we'll move to the other side. So the left leg comes out to the side in your hydrant. Flex through that foot, and we'll just hold to start. And then bring it back to table. Okay, so we're gonna take 5 rounds of that moving hydrant pose. So bring it back out to hydrant, flex through the toes, straighten the leg, hydrant, and back to table. Out to hydrant, straighten the leg, back to hydrant, and back to table. Hydrant, straighten, hydrant, table. 2 more, hydrant, straighten, hydrant, table. Last one at your own pace. Awesome job. Okay, hips from side to side. Okay, if you're not already feeling this in your glutes, you have buns of steel. You'll probably still feel it later. All right, sweep that right leg long behind you. Bend through the knee. And this time, you're gonna tap that knee toward the mat over the left leg. So you're gonna kind of be side to side. And then sweep it back out, bending through the knee. Bend it over so you're thigh to back of thigh. And sweep it back behind you, bent leg, flex toes. 3 more. Thigh to thigh, right leg over left. Back out. 2 more. Last one. Keep that leg bent behind you. Take 5 more pulses. Engage the right glute, let it go. Engage it, let it go. 3, 2, and 1. And then straighten the leg long behind you. Tuck the toes on the mat. Give yourself a little rock back and forth, keeping that back of the leg nice and open, nice and limber. And then bring it back in to tabletop. Bend through the left leg, flex through the toes. And so you're crossing it over, thigh behind thigh, and releasing it back up. Thigh behind thigh, release it back up. 3 more. When you finish your rounds, straighten that left leg behind you. Actually, keep it bent. We're gonna do those 5 pulses. So engage the glute and release. Engage, release. Engage, release. Engage, release. 2 more. And now straighten that leg behind you, tuck toes, give yourself a little rock back and forth. And then once again, find yourself in downward facing dog. Pedal it out, straightening one leg and then the other. And however you want to get there, find yourself at the top of the mat. Inhale to halfway lift. Exhale to fold forward. Sweep the arms out to the side, root to rise. Exhale, hands at heart center. Arms can come down by the side. Take the feet about max width distance apart. And then really bend through the knees, sweep the arms up and overhead. So we're in a wide-legged chair pose. We're gonna do 10 pulses here. So sit down and just rise a little bit back up, staying bent through the knees. Sit and rise, sit, and rise. Okay, 5 more. You can do this. Clench through the glutes. Really use the back of the body as well as the front. I might be giving us an extra one here. That's all right. As you rise up, straighten through the legs, sweep the arms down by the side, and then walk the feet out really wide. You can come to the side, the long side of your mat, and then bring your hands to your hips and hinge forward, just finding a nice releasing forward fold here. You can have a gentle bend in through the knees, fingertips or palms find the ground, and just let the head hang nice and heavy here. Feel that stretch through the back of the legs. And then slowly begin to rock your weight into the toes. And then rock it back into the heels. Moving forward and backward. And if there's any place where the legs really feel great, you can stay there for a couple of rounds of breath. Trying to keep the weight out of the hands if possible. Just using them as a little stand. A little support. Take a few more rocks backward and forward. And then if you haven't already, find that really juicy spot that you want to stay in. And we'll just stay here for a couple rounds of breath. Allow your body to release and relax. And you can always find this in a seated position too, if the forward fold isn't working for you today. Okay, redistribute the weight so it's even on the feet. Bring the hands to your hips and rise back up. Sweep the arms out to the side, up and overhead. Take a nice long stretch. And then sweep the arms down by the side. Toe, heel the feet back in together. And if you aren't already at the top of your mat, find your way to the top of your mat. Inhale the arms up and overhead. Exhale to hinge at the hips, fold forward and step back into a plank pose. You can lower down the left knee here, or you can keep it raised. I'll show you where we're going. And then untuck the left toes. Bend through the right leg. And we're just gonna take some more of those pulses. So engage and release. Engage and release. Flexing through those right toes. 2 more. Then sweep that right foot in between the hands. Drop the back knee if it isn't already and untuck the toes. And just bring your hands up to your thigh. We'll hold this supported low lunge for a few rounds of breath. And then reframe the right foot, plant the left palm, find a gentle twist here. And exhale to release. Tuck the back toes, raise the back knee if it isn't already, and step back into plank pose. Okay, we're gonna do the same thing on the other side. So you can drop the right knee if you want to, untuck the toes, or you can stay in your plank. Bend through the left knee and foot, take 5 pulses. Whenever you finish your 5, just sweep that leg under the body, in between the hands. Lower the right knee if it isn't already, untucking the toes. Walk your hands up to your left thigh, holding this low supported lunge. And sweep the arms up overhead. Reframe the left foot, plant the right palm, gentle twist by lifting the left arm up toward the ceiling. Reframe that front foot. Step it back into a tabletop pose and just rock the hips from side to side. Lower yourself all the way down onto your mat, however you want to get there. And then take your toes together and your knees wide. So almost like you were going to do a child's pose. Your feet will likely be off the ground. They might be really off the ground. They might kind of be hovering off the ground. And then you can bring your palms down on the mat, crossed, so that you can put your forehead onto your palms. And then you're going to point your toes up toward the ceiling. So your thighs are on the mat, your knees are on the mat. Then you're going to engage through your glutes once more. This is our peak pose here, to lift this up and lower it down. So you're like trying to touch your toes toward the ceiling by engaging through your glutes. Maybe your thighs come off not at all, and that's okay. Maybe they come off a lot, just as long as you're engaging through the glutes here. So see if you can take 3 more, really engaging through. See if you can get just a little bit higher and move just a little bit slower. And once you found your third and your legs are raised up, let's keep them there for 5 rounds of breath. And then lower it down. Extend the legs long behind you. And just flip yourself over onto your back. Draw both knees in toward the chest. And give yourself some circles over toward the right. And then bring the circles over toward the left. And then cross the right thigh over the left thigh. So like that cow face position that we did at the beginning of class. So your thigh over thigh, knee over knee. And just draw that in as close to the body as you can. Flex through both of the feet. And then you can uncross those legs and cross them the other way so that your left knee is on top of your right knee, flexing through the feet and drawing that shape into the body. And then uncross the legs. Plant the soles of the feet on the mat and flip yourself back over onto your belly. We're gonna do that movement just one more time and give you another chance if you wanted it. And then, okay, so you're gonna bring your knees as wide as the mat, soles of the feet are together, probably hovering up off the mat, and your forehead is on your hands. Engage through the glutes to point the toes toward the ceiling, lifting the thighs up off the mat and lower it down. We're gonna move a little slower this time. Engage to rise and lower down. Engage to rise. Release to lower. 2 more. Engage to rise. Release to lower. Last one. Engage to rise and hold. Release to lower. Send the legs long behind you. Give the hips a little rock from side to side on the mat. And then once again, find yourself on your back. Cross your right ankle over your left thigh, finding figure 4 here. Stay here or draw that figure 4 into the chest. Flex through the right toes, allow the left toes to be loose. And then release that figure 4, sweep the arms out to a T, and take the figure 4 over to the left, gaze over the right shoulder. Bring it back to center. Once again, keep crossing the legs so that you're thigh over thigh. Draw that figure into you, maybe holding on just below the knees or at the ankles, or if you can reach for the outer edges of the feet, pulling the feet to either side of your mat. And then release the feet. Uncross the legs, both soles of the feet are back on the mat. And just find that figure 4 to the other side. So the left foot crosses over the right thigh. Flex, flex, flex through the left toes. And stay here or draw it in. Let the right toes be heavy. Release that figure 4. Sweep the arms out to a cactus. And find your figure 4 twist, sending the gaze over the left shoulder. If there's any place in the body where you can release just a little bit more, then find that release. Rock the figure 4 back to center. Keep crossing the left leg over the right, drawing the knees into the chest and holding on just below the knees, at the ankles, or for the outer edges of the feet. And then you can release, uncrossing the legs. And if there's any final pose that is calling to you, any final shape that you'd like to take before Shavasana, take a moment for that. I'm feeling a rocking, happy baby. Maybe you are feeling a bridge or just a nice long stretch. And when you're ready, release the feet down toward the bottom of the mat, at least mats with distance apart. Take up space with your arms and hug the shoulder blades under the body. Bring the eyes to a gentle close and just let the body be heavy in this position. Unfurrow the brow and release the jaw. Allow the shoulders to fall into the mat and away from the ears. Relax the hands, maybe the fingertips roll in toward the palms. And then let the feet splay to either side of your mat. And the next inhale, just bring some awareness back to the breath. Wiggle the fingertips and toes. Draw the legs together and the arms up and overhead, taking a nice long stretch. Draw the knees one at a time into the chest. And when you're ready, rolling over to one side. Eventually rising up to a comfortable seat. Bring hands to heart center whenever you get there. And slightly bow your chin toward your chest. Thank yourself for the movement of your body and your breath and your presence on the mat today. Namaste.